Welcome to SlowTalk English, the podcast that helps you learn English through calm, clear, and meaningful listening. I'm Daniel, and every week I'll guide you through powerful stories, ideas, and reflections, all in slow, natural English. No grammar lessons, no stress, just real language, real topics, and real progress. So take a deep breath, slow down, and let's begin. Today, we're diving into a global issue that's shaking economies and stirring headlines across the world. This is more than just a political move, it's a shift that could ripple through every corner of our financial systems. Let's talk about the new tariffs introduced by US President Donald Trump and why markets everywhere are reacting. On April 2nd, during what he called Liberation Day, President Trump announced sweeping new tariffs on America's major trading partners. These tariffs, some of the highest seen in over a century, has sent global markets into chaos. Investors had hoped for clarity. What they got was fear. Within hours, stock markets around the world began to fall. US stocks suffered one of their most aggressive sell offs in 30 years. Investors started pulling their money from stocks and looking for safer options. Surprisingly, the US dollar, normally a safe haven, did not hold its ground. Instead, we saw sharp rises in the value of gold, the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, and US Treasury prices. Why? Because markets aren't just reacting to the tariffs themselves, they're reacting to what the tariffs suggest: a possible US recession and a world moving toward economic isolation. The fear is not unfounded. Tariffs increase the cost of imported goods, and when countries respond with tariffs of their own, it leads to higher prices for consumers, fewer exports for businesses, and reduced global trade. It's a chain reaction. Now, the world is bracing for what's being called Retaliation Day. This is the anticipated response from countries affected by Trump's tariffs, particularly the European Union and China. The EU is expected to move cautiously, possibly leaving room for negotiation, but preparing for countermeasures all the same. And China? While Beijing has not made any official announcements yet, analysts believe they're watching carefully, ready to act, but with precision. Any misstep could intensify tensions, and both sides know how high the stakes are. To understand the gravity of these developments, it helps to look at history. Trade wars are not new. In the 1930s, the United States passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. The goal was to protect American jobs during the Great Depression. But the result? Other countries retaliated, global trade collapsed, and the Depression deepened. Economists today warn that repeating those mistakes could trigger a similar cycle. The global economy is deeply interconnected, and policies that seem focused on protecting domestic interests can easily backfire. Another concern is the impact on multinational corporations. Companies that rely on international supply chains like Apple, Ford, or Walmart face rising costs and operational challenges. If tariffs persist or expand, businesses may be forced to increase prices or reduce their workforce. Let's also consider the human side of this equation. For everyday people, tariffs can mean paying more for basic goods, from food to electronics. Small businesses that rely on imported materials may struggle to survive, and workers in export driven industries may face job losses. Global trade is not just about numbers, it's about people, the workers, consumers, and entrepreneurs who keep economies moving. And right now, they're navigating uncertainty. It's also worth noting the political motivations behind the tariffs. Some analysts suggest that the U.S. administration is using economic pressure as a tool to reshape global alliances, pushing countries to choose sides. This strategy may bring short term gains, but it could damage long term relationships. So, where do we go from here? That depends on how other nations respond. If diplomatic negotiations fail and the cycle of retaliation continues, we may witness a major transformation in global economic policy. Some experts believe this moment could accelerate a shift away from U.S. leadership in global trade. With the dollar weakening and other currencies gaining strength, countries may begin forming new alliances, ones that exclude the US. In the coming weeks, all eyes will be on the European Union and China. Will they strike back with harsh tariffs of their own, or will they seek a middle ground? And more importantly, how will the US respond to that response? These are complex, unfolding dynamics. But one thing is clear: the global economy is changing, and understanding that change calmly, carefully, is more important than ever. Let's end with this. When power meets policy and politics meets profit, who really pays the price? Thanks for listening. That was today's episode of Slow Talk English. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And remember, keep listening, keep growing.